We got a Switch. Fractured Focus is next.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fractured Focus, episode number 22, the show where we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, alongside my brother, the illustrious Dan Gordon. Dan, how you doing?
Oh, doing great as always.
And coming in live from the great state of Nebraska, the original Swino of Omaha himself, Mr. Matt Swinehart. Matt, you ready to talk some Switch?
I am.
We have a Nintendo Switch. Now, for those of you that have been loyal watching the show on a regular basis, all 12 of you, I know that we talked about, I was thinking about getting a Switch maybe in the next year or so, and that pendulum was moving a little bit forward by how good Zelda was going to be. Clearly, impulse control just dissolved. We got a Switch, and it's pretty awesome. So I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Switch because now that I've actually got it in person and had some time with it, man, I put a substantial. You might have noticed we didn't have a show last week. Well, I think that there's
a reason for that.
There's a couple of reasons for it, logistics or whatever, but there's probably a primary reason, and I haven't slept much. Zelda's consumed my life. I actually I haven't played it in the past like 36 hours. I've taken a break. I kind of wanted to take a break from it.
Withdraw.
Are you jonesing? You got the itch?
I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm excited to get back into the world, and we'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk about just the impressions of it. But, yeah, we'll go into that in a minute. I feel refreshed, if you want to say that. You know, after a while. When
8 hours of sleep will do that.
Oh, geez. When you go through that much, I haven't gamed that much hardcore since probably back in college. I mean, it's been a while. I know we talk about games a lot, but we don't put that many hours really into gaming. What I was actually like about the console is, first of all, I like the console a lot more than I thought it would. It looks very un-Nintendo-like. It looks very techy. It looks almost Apple-like. You know, it looks slick and stuff. I actually used it in the car quite a bit. We went over to a family reunion. I let a family member play around with it yesterday. And I just think it looks really slick, and surprisingly enough, I actually like using it in the in this form factor even more than I don't know if I'd say even more than the TV, but a lot more than I thought I was going to. I played a lot of Zelda in the handheld form factor, and it was a really good experience. I liked it a lot. The buttons on it are kind of the smaller, like chiclet buttons, which is kind of weird because you feel differently about them depending on how you're playing. Like when you're playing in handheld mode, I keep thinking how great an experience this is, because all I keep thinking about is, God, if I just would have had buttons on some of the games on my iPhone or my iPad, I could have gotten real game experiences, not these, mobile kind of gaming experiences. But then as soon as you dock it and then you're playing in TV mode and you put them into the Joy-Con grip, I've got the Pro controller coming. It should be here tomorrow or the next day, so that's going to be nice to have a regular controller. But, using them in the Joy-Con grip is I would say, adequate. Like, it works. It doesn't feel janky. It feels like a nice, sizable controller. You can get to the buttons. But it's kind of weird because when you're playing it in handheld mode, the size of the buttons doesn't really bug you, because all I keep thinking about, or I don't know if it's kind of subconscious or whatever, is I finally have tactile buttons on this mobile device with a big screen, bigger than my phone even. When you're playing it in the Joy-Con grip, you're kind of very aware this is not a PS4 DualShock, like the buttons are smaller, in your thumb and stuff. So it works. The joysticks are great. I love the joysticks. I like these even better than the PS4 ones. I've always liked Nintendo's joysticks. They work really well. They click really well. But again, the buttons are smaller. The L and R buttons are very thin up on the top. I like the trigger buttons. They're not analog, but it's these four facing buttons on both of them that are just smaller and chiclet sized, that don't bug you in handheld mode. But when you're playing it on your big screen, you're just kind of aware these are smaller buttons, and it feels a little different. I just think it's the way that you're playing. Mm-hmm. But again,
You think it's maybe because when you're holding it in your hand, you can see the buttons kind of in your peripherals?
Could be. I mean, there could be all these subconscious reasons. It doesn't bug me for some reason when I'm using it in handheld mode. The button size don't matter.
Well, I mean, just think about it. I mean, you've been conditioned for...
Yeah, I think that's what
even the difference between like the Xbox and the PlayStation controllers, they're still fundamentally scaled.
Right.
As far as positioning, as far as, layout and everything. So, yeah, if you get a something that like this where they try to go off that design, but essentially they're trying to shoehorn it in.
Mm-hmm.
The Joy-Con controls are essentially that. They're Joy-Cons.
Yep.
They're these little two devices that they're trying to make into
Correct.
what is supposed to be a traditional controller. And of course, we've been using this template of a controller now for decades.
Yeah, it's evolved into the perfect form factor,
Yeah.
which we know what
Yeah.
that is kind of now that everybody develops into. 4 front-facing buttons, 4 triggers, 2 joysticks, and a digital cross-pad, and everyone's using that. I mean, yeah, you're right. I think that is the evolution of it. So that's probably the reason. I was just surprised. I like using it in handheld mode a lot more than I thought I would, because the last time I was playing games, I remember when the iPhone first started having the App Store and you could play like Enigma in these games and it was great. But after a while, they're like, yo, dude, they'll just put on-screen displays for a joystick and a crossbar and you can play that, and they fucking suck. And having, these again with a device that you take around with you is awesome. I got that Snipper Clips game where you're just goofing around and forming shapes and you cut. It's hard to describe, cutting shapes out of each other to do all these weird tasks together. It's more of a social kind of gaming thing. And we just did it for a few minutes with my cousin Eric, but we were just already laughing and doing stuff. And the fact that you can plop this down anywhere without having to set it up to a TV or whatever, pull off the Joy-Cons, here you go, and let's do this. That's a really fun aspect. I have no desire to buy 1-2 Switch for $50. You don't want
to milk the cow.
Don't want to count the ice cubes.
Well, see, that's what's funny is it would be fun to do with family, when we're around with that. Like, the people that wouldn't play games would actually get into doing stuff like that for fun, and where we'd be laughing around and drinking together. That would be fun. For $50, screw that. But when that finally goes...
Screw family.
Huh? Well, no, not screw family, but not where I was going.
Worth $50 to me.
But when that gets down to a used price that I can get used for like $15 or $20, I would do that. Not that I would want to play it, myself, because obviously it's a multiplayer only game. But that would be fun for family reunions and stuff. Snipper Clips is great for that too, as well. But the portable aspect I really like, and to be honest with you, one thing I kind of didn't expect, I obviously assume at some point you and your kids will probably get one because they're going to crave one, and eventually we all believe that the Nintendo's going to phase out the 3DS, but we'll talk more about that later in the show. And they just all push this console. What I actually see as a good possibility that I did not see before is not right away, probably not even this year, but maybe next year, the year after, actually I could see you getting one.
The Switch?
Yeah, and here's why. Because I don't expect you to believe that. And I could be wrong, but here's why I think that. I would say probably time-wise, 90 to 95% of your gaming is probably mobile on the phone because it's more relaxing. You can do it in the environment you want to on the couch. And with what Nintendo's already announced so far, a lot more than what they thought to, was very JRPG intensive. Square's already said they're doubling down on the Switch. They're going to be porting a whole bunch of their games. They're working on new content for the Switch. They're excited about Nintendo again. And they've already put out that JRPG, what is it, I Am Setsuna, which got, slightly above average reviews so far. It's like a Final Fantasy kind of throwback thing, where you turn-based strategy where you have 3 to 5 characters and you fight against the guys. It looked a lot like Final Fantasy. But knowing that stuff is coming, and then you can get these great stuff like Shovel Knight and other things that actually I would prefer to play on this than I would something else. It will never replace, I don't think, the PlayStation as your primary console that you're going to play your Horizons and stuff. But the way you play, if you could get your Final Fantasy games and all these games that are going to be coming specifically, if not to multi-platforms, the Switch, where you could do them on the couch with a bigger screen than what you got in the buttons. I could be wrong, but I could see eventually you actually liking this for that time-wise.
Yeah, well, I could see the potential in this.
That's a big word, is potential, because that's not for sure.
No, yeah,
Right.
but and the draw for me is actually just strictly as a mobile gaming device.
That's exactly what I mean.
I don't see this as a console. I just kind of see it almost. I look at it and I almost see it's kind of the
Vita.
It's like the
'Cause
spiritual
you had the
successor
PSP.
it's the next progression as far as how to get mobile. The same way that our phones kind of developed into like smaller to big screen, but still manageable.
Right.
But to the point where the display is not too much, but still enough to really get the most out of the device.
Right.
And again, content would be a big driver, but I
could be wrong, but I just based on some of the games that are coming out there, I could see you having a lot more fun with some of the JRPG, which they've already announced a bunch that I did not see coming, that are very number intensive and crafting intensive. The stuff that I don't traditionally get into, that I saw all these coming out, and I'm like, Jesus, man, this is looking more. And again, we could be wrong, but I could see if down the road this drops to like 200 or 150 down the road, this becoming a secondary device for you that you use more for the mobile.
If it drops to the point where it's more of a mobile device,
right.
then yeah. But
I don't see this becoming a console replacement. But just because of 90 to 95% of the time I see you playing I could see you liking this more.
And if I want the mobile device, it's got to be mobile priced.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yep. But I think over time this will eventually get down to $200. You know what I mean? Like, it won't be this year for sure because they're selling like crazy. It probably won't be next year, but I could see in 2019 it definitely dropping down to $200. Mm-hmm. They're just gonna be able to do more and more. But what's funny is the screen's actually really freaking good. Ooh, it downloaded an update. Interesting. I like how it does those.
That's a lot of porn.
We'll go ahead and install that. That's the thing they don't have on this yet that has got to be coming. They can't do Netflix or Hulu, which you just assume like every console can. But I know that they're going for gaming.
YouTube or whatever.
It is a touchscreen. I haven't used a touchscreen for anything. To be quite frankly, I don't want to.
Nope.
It has the capability. It's full touchscreen, capacitive touch like an iPhone. I like using the joystick and to navigate menus a lot better, and I don't want to put fucking fingerprints on this shit.
Screens are for looking, not for touching.
Yeah, but just knowing it has that capability is nice for developers to be able to use and stuff. But, the interface is really slick, and man, is it quick. Like, you go from off to into your game where you left off in less than 3 seconds. That's quicker boot up than PlayStation or Xbox or anything like that, which kind of makes sense because of the way it's designed and it's all flash storage, so it's faster and stuff. But they really took a lot of the annoyances from the Wii U and the Wii user interface and completely redesigned it for a modern audience because it's very minimal, it's simplistic, but it's fast, and you're literally going into your game really freaking quick. But no, I just thought that was interesting. And, I could be wrong, but I guess I was much more see that as a possibility of you having one down the road just because of the way you game and the types of games you like. It looks like they're veering more in that direction over time, but who knows?
Yep. So and I noticed this too when you were playing this over the weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's my iPhone. Mm-hmm. Here's the controller, just as a matter of scale.
Yeah.
Especially when I watched you play with our cousin, who's a fairly a giant man. And you see him just trying to wrap his mitts around one of these things.
Those are the things that are basically you got it upside down.
But it's so tiny.
That's basically for if you want to do an impromptu on the spot something quick. And for what we were playing snipper clips, actually that works fine because you're only using one button at a time. You're basically moving over and having fun. Yeah. If you were going to do like Mario Kart with a bunch of people, that's enough for basically your go button, your item button, and then again it comes with the grips I don't have there that slide on that give you more top, and it's much bigger L and R buttons.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't even pulled those out of the case yet. One of the things that I did get with it, unfortunately, that issue they're having with some of the left Joy-Cons where it's losing Bluetooth connectivity for a few seconds. Yeah. That's happening with mine, so I actually have to send the left one in tomorrow. They did give me a free they give you free shipping and they expedite it overnight, but it'll probably take a week to get it back, which is fine because I got the Pro controller coming in. But what is that, the plus and the minus one? That's the plus one. Yeah, that's this one. See, these apparently you slide on just like you would slide. Whoops. Yeah, from there, from the top.
Left or right?
Yeah. Nope, backwards. There you go.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, the plus and the plus have to line up.
Oh, okay.
See, now then you have the L and R buttons that are bigger, more pronounced.
So
So now remember, this isn't designed to be like for main use. This is for quick impromptu kind of stuff that if you're in the car, you're with friends or whatever. But and that's the way I would describe the controller is it's adequate. It's
Do you have? Can you get two Pro controllers synced to it?
Yeah. You could have two Pro controllers and two of these or two sets of these. So you can play the game any way you want to. And it is super fast and easy to tell the Nintendo Switch how you're playing. So like if, for example, I could take both of these Joy-Cons off, put them in the grip, and then if we're playing a game like Mario Kart, I could say I'm using both the Joy-Cons in the grip, so both of these count as one controller. He's using a Pro controller, and then I have two more Joy-Cons that they're each using them as one person and one person, and it's really easy to just change those on the fly very fast. You don't have all that sync bullshit that you did with the Wii. Remember how hard it was to sync a Wii controller to the Wii? It was a pain in the butt. This is quick. You just press L and R or at the same time. So if I wanted to use this as a controller, I go down to the controller options. It says, great, pick a controller. L&R, this is one controller. L&R, this is the Pro controller. L&R, this is his single Joy-Con. It's super quick and easy. I love that. So again, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's designed for quick impromptu use, but it works. And I heard it's a pain to get those things
tiny.
off.
So we're just gonna show that on a display here.
All right.
Not because I can't get it off, but because it looks better that way.
It will be nice to get that Pro controller in and have the full-fledged, large buttons and all that stuff. I am looking forward to that. If anything, and also to have the bigger L and R buttons. You can see how tiny those things are, which, they work. But I just really like using the system. And as more games come out, obviously we're not going to get stuff like Horizon on this, but more games that come out, I hope that they put them on the Switch, because I'd rather have them in this factory that you can take the stuff with me. And I didn't think that would be as big a deal to me as it is, but being able to be like, all right, you know what, I'm going to go upstairs. Take it upstairs, sit on the couch. Back when I was using the car, I just plugged it into the car charger. I already have a USB-C to USB-A cable, so I just plugged it into the car charger, the same one I used to charge my phone. As long as it's the 2.1 amps, which is, the same that you use to charge tablets. Phones usually use the 1.1, but as long as it's got the 2.1 port, kept it at full charge the whole time I played Zelda for hours without any drain, which was cool to me. Nice. Knowing that's just...
Is that when you were waiting to get your
NES Classic? Yes. See, that was just divine intervention. But no, I really enjoy using it, and I've never really had a system like a portable system since the Game Boy when we were kids. I know you've had the PSP and you like playing gaming a lot more on your phone. I just never really wanted to anymore until I had this, and now I really like it. Like, I know next week I'm gonna get like Shovel Knight. They've got the Metal Slug games.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
they already have those.
Those are fun.
Yeah. They're really cheap. They're only a few bucks.
Oh, yeah.
Those are ready to go. Virtual Console's not even out yet. I really like this system a lot more than I thought I would. And all I've really got in here is Zelda and Snipper Clips so far. But, it's a really cool system. Speaking of, actually, how long is that? Maybe we should just end that for the first topic. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll say that's topic number 1 because it's just based off of time. And and then we'll pick what else we want to talk about for the third and fourth.
Are we cut?
And scene. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you like about the Switch that we haven't talked about thus far. Or
you may have to.
Yeah. We'll go. Perfect endpoint right there. That's how you segue.